Greetings and welcome back, everyone, to the 38th episode of The Angry Chicken, a Hearthstone podcast. I'm Garrett Weinzierl, and I am joined, as always, by Willie Dills Gregory. You're so far away now, Dills.
I know, man.
So
Not right next to you anymore. It's painful.
I can't hit you. I can't just smack you when you make a 50-50 joke.
You know what else too? We can't take questions from the audience. I mean, yes, we can, but it's not the same.
It's not nearly as seamless, and we don't get to watch our buddy Grayson run around with a skinny little microphone,
which is actually the best part of it. Yeah.
And put it in people's faces.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I just sincerely doubt Russell Brower is just gonna walk in through my door and crash the show and just be like,
and
hey,
and give us a little tidbit about the music coming up in Nax. Yeah, no, that's not gonna happen today, unfortunately.
Yeah. So much awesome happened at Nerdtacular. It was such a good time, man.
Yeah, it was a great trip overall. Thank everybody who came to the live Angry Chicken for sure. I think some of you guys are here right now in the chat room.
Yep.
So yeah, you guys were awesome. You made that show really, really fun for us. And we were worried no one was going to show, and a bunch of people were there. So yeah, it was epic.
Yeah.
By the way, I saw the double clicks on Friday night. No, Saturday. Wait.
Oh, they were they were up in SF.
Yeah, they played a show in San Francisco. I got to go see them. I saw Jury from Night Attack was there.
Oh,
he went to the show right before me, so me and him got a beer together, and we talked for a little while.
You still have the crazy Bin Laden beard?
I actually trimmed it out pretty good.
Oh,
he said he actually got it professionally done.
Because that thing was
looking very clean.
That thing was beastly at the con.
I know. I was a little disappointed that but I guess back to work, right?
Yeah.
You gotta look professional.
Yeah, what you gonna do?
It kind of made the Nerdtacular feel like it was still somewhat going on. It was almost like going to see the double clicks again and hanging out with Jury briefly was it made me nostalgic for a weekend that had just happened, which is something that doesn't often happen in life.
It's a good sign. You know you had a good time when.
Exactly.
So yeah, thanks again to everyone who showed up. That was just great. I also wanted to make sure at the top of the show and just take a second to thank all of our patrons over at patreon.com/TAC because we hit our first milestone, Dills.
We did do that, yeah.
We hit 1,000 a month, and that is just insane. We cannot thank you guys enough. And this also means that we're going to start doing Google Hangouts once a month with our patrons. We're still ironing out the details, but we're aiming on doing the first one this month. We're aiming at probably Tuesday, July 29th. We'll let you know once we have a time. And just stay posted on patreon.com/TAC because that's where we're going to be posting all of the details on how you can call in, what time, how many calls we'll be taking, that kind of stuff. It'll probably be roughly an hour. Knowing us, it'll probably go over. This show, we're always like, it'll be like an hour, maybe 90 minutes, and it ends up being like 2 hours. But we'll see. We're really excited though. So again,
it'll be really cool to just get really more intimate feedback back and forth between us and some of the people who like the show so much they want to support it, which is really, really cool that there are those people out there. So and there's a lot of them. It's like 100 something. What is it? Like 150 or something like that?
We're up to a pretty ridiculous number of people who are actually backing the show.
170.
170 people have backed our show, and we've currently raised $1,091.65 a month for the Angry Chicken. I just want to scream. You guys are so cool. Thank you guys
Which
so
is
much.
really, really helpful. I don't know if I mentioned this on Twitter. I think I did mention that on Twitter. My motorcycle is broken, and it's probably gone forever. But
oh, God.
Yeah. But because, doing the podcasting is like working a second job now a little bit, I might be able to be fine. Whereas in the past, something like this would happen, I'd probably become homeless within the next
it's been wonderful. Like we're going to be getting some video bumpers done very soon for the video version of this show, and I'm going to need a second monitor to make that work. And I'll just be able to buy one. I'm not going to have to go to the fiance and be like, is it okay if I buy a monitor? And then I have to look at my funds and be like, will I be able to eat this week? I'll just be able to upgrade the equipment, which is going to be just amazing. And the first time this has ever happened, and I've been podcasting for almost 5 years now. So just thank you guys so much from the bottom of our hearts. It's so awesome. And if Jocelyn was here, she'd be screaming into the microphone about how awesome.
By the way, Jocelyn's not here.
Yeah. We
haven't mentioned that yet, but I'm sure all of you guys
I'm sure everyone's noticed,
angry and have noticed.
Maybe they haven't. Audio listeners are probably just, man, Garrett and Dills are being real jerks. They are talking over Jocelyn so hardcore. Garrett didn't even introduce her. No, it is Jocelyn's birthday, and her parents are in town visiting her, and I'm under the impression that is a rare occurrence. So she
yeah,
was
and I heard
off.
it was also a surprise. So
Yes, seeing as her boyfriend was the one who had to inform us of this. Thank you, Joel. Thank you very much.
Good job, buddy.
Nonetheless, so yeah, happy birthday to Jocelyn. That's why she's not here. We will be joined by Chris from Hearthstats a little bit later on in our program to fill those massive Canadian shoes. Not that she has big feet or anything. That's mean. That's not what I meant. But
I think that she does have fairly big feet, though. She is a tall person.
She is.
I did not realize how absolutely massive she was compared to me, which I feel very short now because you are also tall.
Yes, I am.
And yeah.
Yeah.
And so hanging out with you guys, I'm the short guy, and I'm not even that short. So
I know that's the funny. That's the greatest thing. Is like our picture with like Russell Broward. Like Bill's is just the smallest dude there.
Just so tiny compared to everybody. What's up with that?
It's wonderful. Yeah. And also, speaking of supporting people and just being awesome and crowdfunding and all that jazz, our buddy Brian, who, if you guys aren't familiar with Brian Griffith, he's the guy who makes the music for this show. That intro music, that awesome like punk version of the Hearthstone music. Brian Griffith did that, all of it, and he did it out of the kindness of his heart for us. He got ripped off this past weekend. Someone stole his MacBook, which he just got. Thing's not even paid off yet.
That sucks.
So I just wanted to direct everyone his way. If you can help, that would be wonderful. I set up he's running a, what is it? It's like fundraiser. I'm not familiar with the site, but that's what he's using to raise some funds to try and replace his stolen laptop, which just sucks. But if you want to go, I set up a tiny URL for him. You can go to tinyurl.com/supportbrian, TAC. That's Brian is spelled BRIAN. Again, tinyurl.com/supportbrian, TAC. Because he is an awesome musician who does the music for this show, did the music for Into the Nexus, and many other shows I've done in the past. So I just wanted to put that out into the universe for him. If you can help him, please do. Because he's an awesome guy. And God, I can't imagine having just got a brand new shiny MacBook that I haven't even paid off yet, and having it stolen.
That really sucks.
That would be just awful. Or having a motorcycle broken. That would also be quite terrible.
It's my only way to get around town, and it is now gone. Somebody basically hit it while it was parked, and hit it so hard that not only did they knock it over, it has a wheel lock, so when you turn it to the left, you put a key in and you turn it, and it makes it so you can't move the wheel to the right, right? You can't turn the handlebars.
Yeah.
They hit it so hard, the wheel was turned to the right completely. So I knew immediately something was up, and then I looked, and it was there's two heavy bolts that hold it in place once you lock it. They were both completely snapped. So basically somebody just rammed into it at full speed. They just picked it up and left and didn't leave a note or anything. So
wow.
Yeah. So it's likely that insurance is just going to say, nope, we're not paying to get this fixed. We're just going to cut you a check for barely what it's worth and see you later. That is likely what's going to happen.
That is just terrible. I wish terrible things upon those people.
Yeah, me too.
May your latter games be full
Don't
of
mess with another man's motorcycle.
May your latter games be full of nothing but miracle rogues that always draw the right cards.
Yes, I'm pretty sure the guy who hit my motorcycle plays Miracle Rogue.
Probably.
Yeah.
He sounds like a soulless individual.
Yeah.
All right. Well, there you go. That is some bad.
That was the bad news. Let's get to the other news.
Let's get into the main Hearthstone news.
Good news, everyone!
And had I remembered the soundbite that was in our news bumper, I would have said, let's get to the good news. Curse of Naxxramas pricing, it's finally out. It has finally been officially detailed by Blizzard Entertainment. This isn't some screenshot of a slide that's in Chinese, or the pictures of some dude taking photos off of his iPad at an angle with a glare. This is
nope. This is official.
The Hearthstone website. It's got a write-up. We know how much it costs for Naxx stuff now, which is wonderful. It's great.
Yeah, which means that it's got to be close, like maybe tomorrow. I'm really hoping that I'm actually right.
There's what people are considering proof on Twitter right now, saying it's not happening tomorrow.
I know. We got to talk about that too, but I don't know if I believe that that's definitive proof.
I think it's definitive. I think it's,
maybe
that or Zariah's messing with us, but I don't know. I don't think it's coming out tomorrow.
Yeah, maybe.
But anyway, let's get into what we do know. We already knew ahead of time that each wing would be coming a week at a time. We'd get the first wing, which is going to be actually the Arachnid Quarter, which was announced
as it should be.
Yes,
It's supposed to be. Yeah. It would you piss off a lot of nerds if they were like, yeah, and the first boss you face is the Four Horsemen. You'd be like, no.
Wait, what?
No.
The Kel'Thuzad. You trial by fire,
Blizzard,
man. Get in there. Kel'Thuzad and then patchwork after Kel'Thuzad. Saffron's like midway through. And Arachnid Quarter is going to be the first wing up, and they said during the launch event, players are going to get the Arachnid Quarter for free. Our original, like what we had heard in the past, was that you would get the Arachnid Quarter for free, and you'd have to pay either real money or gold for the other 4 quarters. But this is the first time we hear that there's the stipulation of you have to log in during the launch event to get it for free. They said that the launch event is going to last roughly a month or so, because they said that they want to give everyone plenty of time to get their foot in the door. So there's that. I don't think it's just going to, like, if we get this thing like, let's see, I'm looking at Tuesdays through the month. If we get this thing on like July 29th, you're not going to like not be able to get it for free on August 1st. They're going to give you a full month, it looks like.
Yeah, you get but I mean, this is actually, the first time we heard of this, I was assuming that the first wing was just always going to be free. And I'm not really sure I agree with this move. I mean, I don't mind it really, but let's say someone comes into the game in 6 months. I think having the first wing of this be free is just a incentive to buy the rest of it. Because if you can't play it for free, you may not ever want to pay for it at all.
That is a good
whereas
point.
if you can play it for free and you're a new player 6 months from now, you could see how friggin' sweet rating is in Hearthstone, So I don't know. I'm not sure that this is the correct thing, but whatever. It's not gonna doesn't mean anything to me. I'm gonna get it for free, obviously.
Yeah, I'm gonna just buy everything else outright with cash.
I am too. Yeah, I was originally going to spend gold, but I've decided, I haven't really spent any money on this game in a long time, and now that the amounts are out, I feel like I just want to support Hearthstone.
Yeah,
I just want to give. I just want to pour my money into Hearthstone. It's fine.
Yeah. So let's. I guess we'll get into that now. So it's going to cost 700 gold per wing, or $7 per wing, and then there's these bundled prices for actually, and this is one of the things I wasn't expecting, for every possible chunk of content you could buy. So if say you owned 2. And you were buying into the remaining 3, you get a discount for the 3, and so on and so forth, and it goes down from there. So say you come in 6 months from now, you don't get the free first wing. You can pay $25 and you get everything. Get all 5 wings.
Yeah, it's basically $5 a wing if you purchase more than 1 at a time. Yeah. That's pretty much,
Yeah, and now those of us who are, I'm sure the people listening to this show and the diehards of us, most of us are going to be in the school of wanting to buy the other 4 wings, because we're probably all going to get in during that launch event. We're going to get our free Arachnid Quarter. It'll be $20 for the additional 4 wings.
Yep. Totally worth it in my eyes.
Yeah.
I'm actually really glad with this pricing. When it came out, this was around what we were thinking.
I believe on the last episode I said $5 to $7 was my prediction. So.
Yep. So it's right in there, and I think it's incredibly fair pricing. So they're not trying to gouge anybody. It's a lot of content, and you can do it in different modes. There's heroic, and there's the class specific stuff, and so there's just a lot of stuff to do in here, and totally seems worth $20 for if you're in the launch event. So
yeah, I honestly think I've only heard from maybe 2 people that have said to me that they think the pricing is steep. Everyone else I talked to seems to be in the camp of, no, this seems pretty reasonable.
I've seen very, very few people saying that they think this is expensive, and I've looked through a lot of the comment section on the official ones and the Reddit stuff, and almost everybody's like, yeah, that seems totally fine and not at all gougy, and
right.
It's Blizzard is making enough money, so I think they can cost this stuff in a way that keeps their fans happy with the game, right?
Yeah.
So, and right now, I don't know, are you getting this? Are you getting the sense though right now that people are a little bit sick of the meta and the decks and stuff? Have you been noticing this this feeling going around?
I've been spewing vitriol on Twitter lately regarding Miracle Rogues. So I would say if I haven't noticed it, I'm part of the problem.
Yeah,
I'm a little done with the current meta.
Yeah, Nax needs to come quick, and it needs to be. That's why I really hope it's tomorrow, because this is the first this is the first point in the game that I've noticed a very prevalent attitude of frustration. And
Right.
like Reynad even said, "I'm not playing anymore," and he started streaming Magic.
Oh, because Reynad has never
No, he's not.
Never been
he
unreasonable
never uses
into a
hyperbole,
microphone.
and he never exaggerates. And yeah, no. But the thing is that it's getting to the point now where the innovation has slowed
Mhm.
dramatically,
Yeah.
and people are starting to play very, very specific decks. We know exactly what's in them, and nothing new is coming out. So it's just kind of time. It's time for a shakeup. We've had these cards for a long time now, so it's time for a shakeup. So
Yeah.
so
And before everyone sends your emails getting on me because I teased Reynad, I'm a big Reynad fan, first of all. And secondly, I actually kind of agree with him. I'm feeling the same way right now because we just had a brand new core set come out for Magic. And I'm looking at all these new shinies. I'm just like, oh, I wish we had this in Hearthstone. I wish we had just a huge wave of just all those cards. Cards. Screw those cards. Let's get in and play this whole new set. And that other set, you can't even play it. Who cares? Don't worry about it. I
don't think though. I don't think that ever makes sense though in Hearthstone because you'd basically be like, yeah. So remember how Tyrion was a thing? He's not a thing anymore. It's like no, Tyrion's a thing. You know what I mean? Like you can't just eliminate.
To a point, I think it's kind of hard to judge that with the game being as young as it is.
No, but what I'm saying is like these are characters from World of Warcraft. So to just throw out a whole bunch of characters,
well,
here we go. Here's all new characters. Like you're gonna run out of characters.
Well, what they do
in Magic, you make everything up as you go.
Actually, in Magic, there's a lot of recurring characters.
No, but I mean, there's not. It doesn't. There wasn't a Magic the video game before it, and they're pulling all of the names and everything.
Oh,
from,
right.
You know what I mean? It's like they make it up whatever they want to make up, and it doesn't really work in Hearthstone because of the fact that it's got to be so like. You can't really just say that these characters are just no longer playable and whatever, unless you remake them again. You know?
Right, which is actually what happens with like the Planeswalkers in Magic.
Yeah.
They're changed constantly. Like there's been so many Ajanis, I don't even know. But yeah, I'm not saying that's how they should go. I'm just saying that I think that part of that, if you're even remotely interested in Magic and you're a big hardcore Hearthstone fan and you've been playing since it's come out this week, you're probably feeling a little bit of that fatigue just because of this other game that's similar that you enjoy. Just got a huge influx of new stuff that upset the balance.
Yeah.
So.
By the way, I do know Reynad went back to play more Hearthstone. I know this. Come on, this is a job. So yeah, well he said that, but basically what he was he was coming out saying this, and I've actually heard a lot of other people say it recently. They're starting to just feel like the game is just rock paper scissors. Who gets the better card draw? That's who wins. It's gotten to the point where even the players who aren't at a professional level know enough about the game that they can make the correct move most of the time. So then it does become down to who draws better, right? And that's basically because all the decks are so kind of streamlined and figured out at this point. So it's time for a shakeup. That's all.
Yeah, that's card games in general. That's why new cards are added, and we're getting new cards very soon.
Sure. Yep.
So.
But no, I agree with you. I'd love to see at some point an influx of not just 30 cards spaced out over 4 weeks, but here's 100 new cards.
Yeah,
Bang.
Just give me a massive pile.
Everything is different now. Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah, even if it is a new version of Tyrion, I don't care. Now Tyrion.
No, I mean that would be fine if they do it that way too.
Now it gives you the corrupted Ashbringer, and it has different stats.
Sure,
you never know.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Although I guess that would be more of a. Oh my God, I'm blanking on a proper reference. Who wielded the corrupted Ashbringer?
Oh, I don't know, man. I'm not Terpster.
That's very good. We need Terpster just on we need a red phone with a big T on it, and you just pick it up and Terpster's
Someone
on the
call
other
Terpster.
We have a lore question.
Corrupted Ashbringer. No, the chat room knows. Somebody in the chat room will know.
Wonderful. They also gave some specifics on heroic mode, which previously, before that leak, I didn't even know was a thing. They said that once you've defeated all of the bosses within a given wing for the first time, you will unlock the heroic mode of that specific wing. So take Arachnid Quarter, the first quarter we're getting, for example. We've got a Nubricon, Grand Widow Ferlina, and Maxena. All those are your 3 bosses. You beat all 3 of those, you unlock heroic Arachnid Quarter.
Yeah.
And the reward for heroic mode, if you defeat all of the bosses in heroic mode, you get a new card back.
Yeah. And originally people thought that you were going to earn the golden versions of a card by just beating these things on heroic, but turns out no. You have to beat them on heroic, then craft them.
Yeah. And people are getting really ticked about this, and I don't understand why. It's not like Blizzard ever came out and said that was the case. This was just people
They just made an assumption.
making assumptions.
Yeah. But, I mean, I understand. I understand that some people were excited to get these gold cards, but I also understand Blizzard wants the gold cards to be really difficult to get. And currently, they're very difficult to get. You earn a certain set of them just by leveling up characters. But then to actually make all the other ones, it takes a lot of dust. So much dust that at one point I was like, gosh, you know what? I will try to get a full gold set. Now I'm like, no. I will not do that.
No,
it's never going to happen.
I mean, that's probably one of the. I mean, obviously, people out there who do care and do really, want to be able to get these golden cards through gameplay as opposed to having to dust a bunch of cards and craft them. And I'm not discounting that. I don't think that's no,
it's valid,
insane thing to want. But I think that might be a personal bias. I have no interest in the golden cards. As far as I'm concerned, they are just dust fodder to craft the legendaries I'm still missing.
Rose corrected me. Yeah, actually, I do remember reading that there's no need to beat the heroic mode anymore for the gold cards. Yeah, that's right. Thank you for the correction, Ro.
Okay. Oh, Ro in the chat room. Hey, Ro. You're usually busy on Monday nights. Nice to see you.
There was a lot of confusion around this because basically Ben Brode was saying one thing. I think it was Zariah was saying another thing. And so it was, very up in the air about what's going on.
Yeah. So getting real quick into what we hinted at earlier, which was reasons why people don't think we're getting Nax tomorrow, and I actually agree with it, is there was people were tweeting at Ben Brode asking when they're going to see the card back that we get for completing heroic mode next Rammus, and Ben Brode said, I'm not sure, maybe Zariah knows, and Zariah said, we'll show it off sometime before Nax hits. And so since Dills said it would be coming out tomorrow, if that's true, we would have already seen the Nax heroic card back.
Maybe it just gets showed off tomorrow morning during extended maintenance while Nax comes out.
That is possible. It's also very possible.
Don't kill my dream is what I'm saying. All right.
It's also very possible.
I know you're a dream killing individual, but in this particular case, let's wait.
Excuse you. That was mean,
no,
man.
It's not okay. You are one of the most pessimistic people that I hang out with on a daily basis. You can't deny this.
Oh, what?
Right?
What? No.
We're playing Heroes. You're the guy who's going, we can't win this.
Hold on. My reaction to video games going south and my general daily outlook on life are two completely different
Well,
things.
it's because we hang out playing video games a lot. Yeah, I'm not saying in general daily life.
No. I am a salty individual when I lose in video games.
You are a salty person.
I fully accept that. But in general day-to-day life, when I'm not playing a game versus another human being, I'm a pretty upbeat dude.
In the game of life, you're good to go.
Yeah.
But I still believe in my tiny little heart that it could possibly happen tomorrow. We'll see. We shall see.
Oh, man, that hurt, man. I felt like I really had to go on the defensive. This is some fighting words.
I'm sorry, buddy. I
was just like, what did I say? That Nerdtacular. Oh, my God.
Oh, no. Not
just like, oh, he's just talking about my Heroes games. Yeah, no, I'll own that.
I'm
a miserable human being to play a PvP game with.
But no, I mean, reality is setting in that it's likely not happening tomorrow now, which is unfortunate. But so Zariah is the dream killer here.
Thanks, Zariah, if you're listening. Yeah. And if you're not listening, Youngwoo, tell Zariah that Dills called her the killer of dreams.
Mm-hmm. By the way, though, everything else feels like it's coming out tomorrow, right? Because they just went on this camping trip. Do you really just go on I know it's an annual camping trip. Do you really just stop and go on a camping trip when there's a ton of work to be done on?
I think you need to explain this slightly more for listeners who don't stalk Team 5 on Twitter. Team 5 went
on a camping trip.
On a Team 5 camping trip.
Yes.
And people there's this one dude on Twitter lighting them up like, how dare you? How dare you go on this? And if Nax is not finished.
Life.
And it's just like, do you work weekends? What the crap?
I mean, it's stupid to have any feeling, negative or anything that's not a positive feeling about them going on a camping trip. That is so lame. that person must have a very sad life. So I just
Yeah.
feel sad for that person.
That person must be 10 times worse than me in a game of Heroes. It's
No,
true.
he is the killer of dreams. But all of these things seem to lead to the fact that it's done. It's got to be done, right? They can't be celebrating having Ben Brode's famous peach cobbler or whatever it is and
I don't
roasting marshmallows and stuff if it's not done.
Do you work weekends? I don't work weekends.
No, but when we're putting out, okay, I work in the tech industry. When we're right around the corner for putting something out, we often do work weekends. So, you know,
Okay,
and I know that Blizzard does black out vacation time around releases of things. So there was another post about somebody saying that later this month they have a blackout period at Blizzard for vacation time. So maybe that's
okay.
when it happens. But
Well, there you go. Well, nonetheless, I hope they enjoyed the damn camping trip because you should take a day off. And people need to stop being so entitled. That's so insane. I'm leaving Friday for a week. Are people gonna like lose their crap and be like, "How dare you? You need to do an angry chicken on Monday."
Yes, they will. Yes, they will.
Someone out there now is gonna do it just because.
But you know what? When people are losing their crap over something, that means you're doing something good. You know?
Yeah.
It means that what you do affects people.
People care enough.
Yeah, people care.
Yeah.
They care a lot. Boom, 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 boom. Sorry.
Oh, awesome. Well, I think that'll more or less wraps up Nax discussion. Do you have any closing thoughts on the Nax pricing?
No, I think we covered it all. It's pretty good. I just want it to happen. I'm ready
right.
for it to happen.
Cool.
Well,
Well,
there's actually posts on Reddit about how it was going to happen on the 15th, citing this very show as a reason why it was going to happen. So I'm sorry to everybody if I've disappointed you and I was wrong on this one. It's not my fault, I swear.
Dilstradamus taking down a peg.
I know.
Someone hexed you, man. You're like a frog with taunt. You're no longer. You no longer have your battle cry ability.
You know what? I'll cold blood that frog with taunt, and it'll be super frog. Let's go 4-1 with taunt.
And then I will cuss at you because you're playing Miracle Rogue.
Maybe I'm playing tempo that happens to have cold blood in it, or aggro. That's actually the Cancer Rogue. Ooh, have you played that thing yet?
I have not played it. I've heard about it, and apparently it's supposed to start around rank 10, which is where I'm floating around right now. So
it is more rage-inducing than Miracle.
Really? Okay. Well, we should. This will probably come up during our talk of the Kalento deck today because that's what I've been playing.
Okay.
And I have been going up against quite a few rogues, so let's save that chat for there. Because joining us now is Mr. Chris France from Hearthstats to talk about Hearthstats June report. Chris, welcome back to the show.
Hey guys, thanks for having me. Just got my 100 push-ups in before I jumped on the stream, so I looked really big.
Just got to drop that right there.
Gotta get yoked before you podcast, man. Everybody knows that.
Yeah, absolutely.
Oh, I don't know if you saw. I just did like 1,000.
Yeah,
just working on my guns.
That's my life.
999. 1,000. Let's go. Let's talk Hearthstone.
Oh, well, welcome to the show, Chris.
Hey, I appreciate it. It's always fun. Always fun talking Hearthstone with you guys.
Let's get into this meta, man. I feel like the meta is. This report always surprises me because in my brain, I feel like everybody's playing Rogue and everyone's killing me with Rogue every single day. And I know, Gary, you feel the same way.
Yeah. I've been seeing a good mix of classes this week. I don't know what it is, but I feel like I'm seeing a better mix of classes represented than in weeks past. But yeah, it's always interesting to see this report. The overall lack of change seems to support the discussion we were just having, Dills, that the meta is a bit stale.
It is, yeah.
There's not a ton of change from May's Hearthstats report. Now, just before we get into this, again, all of these statistics are coming from Hearthstats, meaning it's only from people who are logging their games or using the uploaders. This is not all of Hearthstone as a whole, but we don't have access to those stats. Only Blizzard does. Yeah. This is the best thing we have.
Best we can do.
And Hearthstats does an amazing job every month putting out these monthly reports showing us win rates and games played, etc. So, how was it this month, Chris? Going into it, because I mean, you compile these reports, right?
Yeah, we do. Really, I mean, it's not like you guys said, it's not a surprise because I mean, people are getting in their rhythms, or they're not getting in their rhythms. They're in their rhythm right now, and
Hmm.
they're playing the decks that they're comfortable with. They're playing with what they're winning with, um, and so I mean, I think like you guys were mentioning earlier. It's it's the changes needs to come soon because people are getting. There's not much change within the meta, which I think says quite a bit.
Yeah, yeah. It's feeling very. It's just kind of stagnant right now. But I do notice like a couple of things are kind of being reinforced. Warlock as the top class is just kind of getting reinforced more and more. And then of course in Arena, Rogue is now being reinforced as the top class. Even though everyone plays Mage, everybody plays Mage. You see Mage way more often. It's pretty obvious that Rogue is just the best in Arena. So everybody out there, stop picking Mage all the time, dude. Pick Rogue sometimes. It's really good.
I pick Mage all the time. And it works. It works really well for me.
Well, yeah, it works too. They're actually very close in win rate, but I think a lot of people are surprised when they find out, that Rogue is actually as good. I wanted to ask you a question, Chris. Are there any new features on Hearthstats that we should tell people about?
Oh, that is a loaded question. And
Are there implemented features? Like, I'm
So,
sure you're working on
yeah,
some
so
that are giving you
there's
like.
there's not a whole lot that we've implemented in the past, probably since we've talked with you guys last.
Mhm.
There's a lot that's coming out within the probably I don't want to give a timeline, but it's
No, yeah, you don't have to
and,
do time.
and, and I'm not going to do the soon TM either because that's cruel. But pretty soon we're well I know I can give you guys one example. I think we pretty much have it finished up or close to being done. Being able to automatically upload your decks into Hearthstats rather than selecting them all, so it'll hopefully give us more card statistics.
Mhm.
Because we'll have more complete cards and decks, things like that. We have so much that we're going to be implementing pretty soon, and I don't want to I don't want to say too much because I know that Jeff, our main developer, is working really hard, and
Mhm.
I don't want to give false timelines. But
Absolutely not. Yeah, yeah. But I was using it recently, and I noticed that it just felt a little bit crisper. Stuff like your deck slots and things like that seemed to be updating a little easier. There's like drop down lists on each one, and just all of that stuff. Everything feels a little bit crisper at this point than it did maybe 2 months ago. Although last month it was all working pretty well too. So I
yeah,
recommend everybody check it out and download the actual software because the program itself, you can just go in and put in stuff yourself. You download the software and it's basically just you play, you set it and forget it, and it's just keeping the track for you.
yeah. So and there are there's always improvements being made in that respect. Like I know they worked really hard with, like you said, the drop down menus and, creating your decks, making it more friendly on the site, and the actual uploader itself. There's been a lot of small improvements here and there to make it all, just as tight as we can. The tracking's become a lot better over time. And so they're always making little adjustments there. I was thinking more like big,
Yes,
redos.
big changes. No, yeah.
Yeah. So
No, those don't happen consistently for anybody who's not in the tech world. That is not easy.
yeah, we've got some good stuff coming out though, and probably announcements coming up pretty soon that we're pretty excited to talk about. So
Oh, cool.
Awesome. Well, we'll keep a lookout for that. Well,
Yeah, we'll have to have you back.
let's get into the win rates because that's what we'd like to talk about with these reports. I guess first off, actually, the other thing that I found interesting was just the most played classes. The top three on both Arena and Constructed haven't changed at all.
No.
And even like the amount of games logged were really close to last month's. It was like within 10,000 games of each other. I think the only outlier was Druid and Constructed. And it was still barely. It was like 12K over, so it was just above 10K.
Yeah.
But getting into, I guess let's look at Constructed win rates first. Warlock is still on top with barely any change in the overall win percentage.
They've been on top for such a long time and constructed, and it's really it comes down to there's just a couple ways to play, and they're both effective, and so you're just going to get a lot of games out of them. But yeah, Zoo is still a thing, and I was using it to rank up quickly, and I'll probably quit at some point playing it, but it's still as good as it ever has been.
Yep. Not to mention, I mean, again, we always talk about it just being an affordable deck to make. If you're new to the game or if you're trying to play on a budget, it's one of the best cheap decks you can play.
Yeah, actually, the current version that I'm using right now even took out the Argent Commander, so it's like one less rare is gone. Placed them with Dark Iron Dwarves, so then those are another basic card. So it's just really good.
I'm
actually though surprised where Rogue is. I'm surprised where Rogue is, and I think we should probably talk about that.
So Rogue is actually up from May. In May,
Yes.
Rogue was in 5th place. Now in June, it's up to the 4th place.
Yeah.
With just shy of a 50% win rate.
So the question that I have then is why does Rogue seem to be inducing so much rage, and yet the stats say that it is a less than 50% win rate?
Because when you lose to a Miracle Rogue, half the time it feels like there was nothing you could have done.
I guess that's true. I don't know. I mean, Chris, what do you think? Do you feel what's the most rage-inducing class for you to play against?
Oh, 100% Rogue.
Yeah,
Closely followed by Zoo, because for some reason when I play Zoo, I don't win near as much as I get beat by it.
Yeah.
But yeah, Rogue always drives me nuts more than anything. I don't see it's interesting because I mean, we do, because now in our June report we do have win rate distributions by rank. So if you guys go to the website and scroll all the way down at the bottom, we have a section called ranked win rate distribution. And I was expecting to see the rogues their distribution go higher, the closer they got to legend, because people, I figured, higher ranks probably know how to play this deck better, and it's the lower ranks that are bringing that win rate down. But it doesn't really seem to be the case. It actually almost seems to be higher at the lower ranks that they get. And so
I'm looking at this. It looks like it's the highest at rank 20.
Yeah.
There's also
I'm at a loss there.
Also at legend, there's very few matches recorded though. It looks like, if I'm reading this correctly.
Well, there's not very many legend players.
Right.
Even though people seem to think that there's tons and tons of legend players because they watch the streams and all those people are legend, it's actually a very, very small percentage of the player base who are actually playing at the legend rank. So you're just never going to have a huge pool of data to pick from just the legend players.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly.
I think a lot of them too don't care about anything like this. They don't track anything. I know that it seems like it should go the other way, but I've noticed that people who tend to be really good at stuff are also just kind of effortlessly really good at it. And
you mean your jerk friend in high school who just slacks
just
off
really
the day
good at
before
everything?
the chemistry exam and aces it, and you stayed up all night studying and you got a C? Yeah.
I don't think Colento has any spreadsheets, is what I'm trying to say. Like, I think he just sits there and crushes everybody. It's all like up there. So.
Yeah, I was watching him today, man. That dude is the opposite of what I am when I'm playing this game. He's just like, okay, I'll just do this and this. And if he loses, he's just like, okay, next game. Me, I'm just like, you son of a bro, I will find you.
It's real smart.
I've seen him rage a couple times. I've seen him get a little salty, but he's a very calm individual. You know what he does that we don't do, everybody else in the world, is he knows exactly what might happen next and plays around, like he does plays that don't make any sense until you realize he was playing around something that then happened, and then he had the perfect play to, like we just don't, other people don't seem to see all that stuff.
I can't tell you how many shamans I played against this week where I've won or died with Tyrion in my hand because I was like, I haven't seen 2 hexes. I'm not putting out Tyrion.
Yeah.
I'm not doing it. I know what happens.
Yeah, that's like the mini game. I actually talk about that in my article, that's the mini game of that deck is when can I play Tyrion?
Mm-hmm.
It's like you keep holding it back, and you're like, okay, well, I'm gonna put out my Sunwalker, and then come on, hex it, and then now
that's what I like about that deck is there are a good amount of targets that actually draw out the removal, but
yeah.
Anyways, sorry, Chris, getting back into it. I love it. So, is this the first time you've had the ranked win rate distribution by league?
I don't think we had it when we talked last time on the show. I think if I look up um, the May report, I think we ended up getting it on at the end of that
Okay.
after we had talked about. Yeah, it's on the May report as well, but we didn't have it there when we talked on the show last time.
Okay, yeah,
Okay.
I love that it's here because one of the things we were hearing after we had you on last time was everyone was like, okay, I don't disagree with your discussion of rogues aren't as bad as you say, but and that's exactly what they said was, well, this isn't broken up by rank.
Right.
Yeah.
So now it is, and that's really awesome to see. Or well, obviously, if you don't, obviously they're like the top 9 at the top of the global win rates. That's everything lumped together. But at the bottom, yeah, there's this little chart you can break it up by class, and that's really interesting to see.
Mhm.
Yep.
Yeah, I mean, I think though that there's something about the lower ranked players maybe don't know how to play against the Miracle Rogue as well, and a lot of the decks at the top are actually geared to beat Miracle Rogue. So there's probably a bit of that going on as well. But I mean, even though the win percentages may not reflect it, I do think that is the top deck. It's been the top deck for a long time, and maybe we're seeing some of it because we don't have archetypes here either. We don't have Miracle Rogue versus Tempo Rogue, versus Aggro Rogue. And there's a lot of people trying out this Aggro Rogue just to counter the Miracle, and they may be fudging these numbers a little bit too. So whatever this says, Rogue is the best class.
Yeah. It's when you tick on all the classes. By the way, it's nice and even through the middle for the most part.
Yeah, yeah.
Hmm.
Yeah, there's a good amount of balance. Priest still is the big loser, unfortunately. So that means Yang Wu will continue to play it.
Yes. One of these days, I just want to have you.
I've seen more priests on the ladder though, and it's I think it's probably due to the Amaz. Was it at DreamHack that he was playing that?
Yes.
And then just people like Amaz and Youngwoo all supporting that so much. It's cool to see though. Even though their win rate might kind of suck, it's cool to see it bump up a little bit. At least it bumped up. I think one place. I think last month it was 8th least play, or second least played,
least
and now
played,
it's
yeah.
third least played. So
Yeah, there you go.
And
More
they're
people playing it at least.
their win percentage is up too. They're still in last place, but their percentage has gone up. Looks like 1.5%.
there
So
you
people
go.
are figuring it out a little bit. Okay. Well, I actually do think there's a really good version of the deck out there, and it's Zedalot's using it right now. And it uses Mind Blast and stuff, but when you get down the Priest Legendary, you Mind Blast for 10. So it's not bad.
Oh,
10 damage, 2 mana.
Prophet Velen.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's I don't know. I like Priest. But Priest is really fun to play. It's just a blast to play. It's just on the inconsistent side. There's a lot of random elements, but Dills and Chris, I'm not sure if you heard the live episode from last week, but I told the story of me sitting in bed with my iPad and my fiance making fun of me because I start raging at the guy whose deck is so bad that I'm losing to it. I had that today against a priest. It wasn't even like an Amaz priest. This guy was like rolling with like light wells and spell breakers, and I'm like,
Oh yes, it's
what
it's
is
the-
going on here? And I lost miserably to it. I didn't have a
course.
chance
Can't
in
predict what's
hell.
gonna happen.
Yeah.
You're like, what the heck is he playing?
And it was
Why
right.
would you do
meta.
this?
It was right when my fiance came home from work and walks into the office. I'm just like, you are bad luck. You show up and the crappy deck comes that kicks my ass.
My girlfriend does the same thing. She's like, "What is happening in here?" I'm like, "Nothing." Like,
You
tell her
don't-
what happens, and she's like, "Okay," doesn't understand. Goes in the other room.
You
again.
don't
And
get
you're
it.
upset because why?
I'm a very
I'm
competitive
losing
person.
at a video game. You don't
Leave me alone.
understand.
There's a huge part of me that's really happy that she wasn't around when I lived with a bunch of guys in college and played Smash Brothers all day. Because that was a level of video game saltiness that I will never reach again. It's not going to happen.
By the way, 31 minutes ago, Airtil posted on the official forums, "We are still on track to release Nax Ramus in July, but it will not be tomorrow."
Oh,
so sad.
Zariah, you're
Feels-
saved from
feels-
being the crusher of dreams. Now Aratil is the
Now
crusher of
Aratil
dreams.
is also crushing my dreams.
There's
Damn
still
it.
a 50-50 chance of it
It's
coming out
50-50.
tomorrow, though.
Exactly. Thank you, Chris.
Chris.
Thank you for
Tomorrow.
pointing that out.
You're from a website called Hearth Stats.
Yeah. You guys
Oh.
should just one day, just on my birthday, just one day, just change the whole website so everything.
You know, I told Garrett, I was like, you know, I should try to prove Dill's wrong with this, but then I was like, Dill is way too charismatic for me to try to argue this point out. He's gonna prove me wrong, even if it's like not proven fact, right?
Oh yeah, no. I mean, I will argue. I will be like a corrupt lawyer, and I will figure out some argument that convinces the world that it is 50-50. It's all
I mean,
50-50.
I won't get into the denominators and numerators and
Sure,
ratios and all that good stuff tonight, but
But if you
I'll-
do like to get into that stuff, Harstats, that's where you want to go.
There you go.
Harstats.net.
Yep.
you can email me chris@harstats.net and I will explain to you theories all day.
That's actually
Oh,
a good
geez.
feature you guys should put in is an RNG calculator. That would be awesome. There's a couple out there, but they're just like made by some random dude.
And they're not like
So-
super pretty or user friendly.
Yeah.
An RNG calculator.
Yeah. So like you say, okay, so he's got
You
two
punch in your scenario.
four
and that-
health creatures on board, and I'm gonna cast Avenging Wrath. What are the chances I kill one of these things? But like, you
that.
know, a quick way to do it real fast, although should pop out. It's 50-50 every time, but
It's 50-50.
yeah, it's 50% chance.
So
Yeah.
Jeff, the founder of Harstats, is in the chat room right now, so he's hearing
yeah.
this. So Jeff, we need to implement that.
Yeah.
Who is he?
Diddle's,
Who's he in chat?
RNG calculator. You put in very specific things, and then it just comes back. It's like, it's 50-50, dude. Do it,
Yeah.
man.
How do I math?
Yeah. Yeah, play Ragnaros. 50-50, it kills the thing you want. It either does or it doesn't.
Oh, are we done? Can we move on with the actual
All right, good.
like
Sorry, buddy.
information now? Can we?
Killer of Dreams, at it again.
This is what happens. You know, you're the host of the show. You got to move the conversation along, and
I understand.
they all look at me because I'm the bad guy.
Yeah, there's a 50-50 chance it'll actually work when you try to move it along, though. Just so you know.
So Druid has one of the biggest changes from last month. It's up 2 places. It was 4th place last month and constructed to 2nd place, but actually barely just over 1% change in its overall win percentage. Shaman's down 1. It went from 2 in May to 3rd in June. Rogue's up 1, and one of the bigger changes was Hunter is down 2. Hunter was
dropped, yeah.
Yeah, Hunter was in 6th place in May and is now down in 8th place.
Yeah, even though the nerf happened, last month, it's still people were still trying to play that deck, and I think just over time people moved away from it. And the only version of it that I'm still seeing now is the aggro hunter, and the aggro hunter, as we all knew from before, didn't really work very well, very consistently anyway.
I've been playing a lot of aggro hunter lately, and I've been doing pretty well with it. But that
You can catch people off guard for sure.
Yeah, that mid range, I stopped winning with that.
Yeah.
Last month.
Yeah, it was a shame too because I really liked that deck. It was a fun deck to play. Had a lot of really cool combos, and of course the beast synergy. So, come on, Blizz, put Nax out, man. We need to get this going. This is gonna be this show until Nax comes out. It's just us begging for Blizzard to put Nax out.
Pretty much.
So I got a question for you guys. What do you think is gonna? What class do you think you'll see the top of this list once the first month of Nax coming out?
I think it's still gonna be Warlock.
Yeah. Of win rates?
Yeah, I think Warlock will stay on top just because their hero ability is just so damn good. That no matter what the cards do, I think that
being able to draw a card is killer.
But we will see the demon Warlock, so that'll be cool when that happens. But it'll still be Warlock.
I'm just gonna play fanboy and say reincarnation is so good. Shaman. Shaman, man.
That's not a bad call.
Shaman's gonna be tough.
Yeah, that's not a bad call because they are gonna be pretty sweet with that reincarnate. So, but I know what card is gonna be at the top of everything, and that's gonna be Nerubian Egg. That card is gonna be insane,
especially in arena.
It's gonna be in every deck.
You get that sucker in arena, man. It's gonna be good.
I love that card, man. I cannot wait to use it. Okay. Max, where are you?
Which, if you're wondering why we haven't said very much about Arena with the June report, is that the global run rates haven't changed at all except for 2nd and 3rd place. Or no, sorry. third and fourth place. Sorry, Paladin and Shaman swap places.
Yeah, Paladin, but if you look at the actual percentages, it's like barely moved.
Yeah, it's like nothing. Rogue is still number 1. Mage is still number 2.
But they both have almost the exact same win rate as well. It's within 0.25%. So
yeah.
So how do you guys feel?
Up a little bit in actual percentage. They're still at the bottom, but
right. Yeah,
percentage and a half almost, right?
Yeah.
Sorry, Chris, what were you saying?
No, you're all right. How do you guys feel about? So I'm looking at the number of games played. Paladin being number 2 consistently since March. They're at number 2, and I feel like I don't see that many Paladins played
in Arena.
In Arena?
Yeah, in Arena. I mean, I see Mage and Rogue and Druid.
No, I agree with you, but I mean, obviously there's statistics here that would argue otherwise. But yeah,
absolutely.
I definitely have experienced the same thing. I feel like I always run into at least one Paladin, but I definitely run into like 2 or 3 mages, 2 or 3 rogues, depending on how good my run is going, obviously.
I think you see more Paladins when you start to get up to the higher win totals. They are just really
why I
good.
don't see them.
My last 12 win was a Paladin.
Bill's just underhanded insulted you, just like
no.
Well, if you were doing better than 4 wins, Chris.
It's when you get to 9 wins, you only see Mage and Paladin. That's just all you see. And so when my last 12 win was with a Paladin, and I faced 2 Paladins at the very end, and they all had the one loss I had was to a Paladin that had 4 True Silvers and played all 4 of them. He may have had more, I don't know, but it's a sick class in Arena. Just that True Silver champion. That's all you really need. You need a bunch of them, but yeah.
One of my favorite tweets we got this week, and I don't remember who it was, and I apologize, was someone like tweeting at us, I got my first 12 win streak in Arena, and then a reply to it, I just found it, sweet. So at the Jables got his first 12 win in Arena, and then at Blam Rob's reply was, I see you went with the 5 Fireball, 2 Pyroblast. Oh wait, a Paladin deck? Because at the Jables actually got his 12 wins with a Paladin. And that just, oh man, I was laughing so hard. I think I was like in the mall or something shopping with my fiance, and I was just like, that's good.
I've actually done more 12 wins with Paladin than Mage. I feel like it's just like I understand you get 6 fireballs, you don't really lose games, but I really enjoy the playstyle you get with Paladin more, and sometimes I feel like with Mage that I'm trying to set up a big flame strike forever, and maybe I don't get it because they play around it enough. And with Paladin, it's just more of a consistent clearing of their board, and True Silver Champion swings to the face. So everybody out there, pick Paladin. It's good. It's good.
I'll try him out next round. Next time I see him.
This episode will be known as the Paladin Love episode because
actually, we're going to talk a lot of Paladin this week, aren't we?
Yeah, we are. I'm okay with it because we haven't been giving Paladin a lot of love recently. So
that's true. Nobody has really.
No, except Calanto, and we'll get into that into a sec. So, Chris, before we let you go, where can people find you, and anything else you'd like to promote?
Yeah, I can be found on Twitter at LTLunatic22. At Hearthstats, obviously, we tweet out. We're pretty consistent with our tweets at Hearthstats. I can also be reached at chris@hearthstats.net. And those are my main ways to reach me. If you tweet me or email me or whatever, I'm really easy to get a hold of. So, love to hear from you guys. I heard from a few people last time I was on the show, and that's one thing I meant to say is your guys' audience and your guys' fans are awesome. Such a warm welcome, and last time I was on the show, and everybody was just super nice, and I really appreciated that. So you guys out there rock. So keep up the good work and keep supporting Angry Chicken because these guys are doing a good job as well.
Thanks, man.
So
I concur. They are awesome, and so are you guys. Hearthstats is friggin' amazing.
Thanks.
It was actually it was such a good addition to my Hearthstone play. I wish I could use it on my iPad. Hint, hint. I don't know.
This is exactly how we ended our discussion last time, Dills.
Yeah.
Was you going iPad and Chris saying we're working on something, but soon. It's about as much as I can say.
Yeah.
Soon TM.
I know I can say it this time because Jeff actually tweeted something out a few weeks ago about it, so I can
nice.
I can hint at it officially this time.
Nice.
As opposed to unofficially last time.
The sadness of Nax has been replaced with happiness because of our stats.
Oh,
Yes,
yeah.
yes.
Well,
So, and we have a few other cool announcements coming up pretty soon, and I know that doesn't mean a whole lot right now until we actually announce them, but we got some good stuff coming out pretty soon.
Awesome.
So keep your eyes out, and we'll definitely announce them on your guys' show as well. And yeah, make sure everyone out there is aware of
Cool.
what's going on. So.
Right. Well, thanks again for joining us, Chris. Everyone, make sure to go to hearthstats.net and shoot Chris an email if you feel so inclined. Chris, we'll see you next month for that'll be the July report.
Yeah, and hopefully we have some Knack stuff to talk about. That would be
I hope so.
so exciting.
Or
So-
if I have to see Warlock up at top with nothing interesting to say about it, I'm going to be unhappy. Let's upset the status quo, man. Let's get a revolution in here.
Exactly.
All right.
All right, thanks for having me, guys. I appreciate it.
Not a problem, Chris.
All right,
You have a
man.
good one.
All right, see ya.
Oh, that was good. I'm always glad that Chris can make it on to break down these stats with us.
Yeah, absolutely. It's all of this stuff is really interesting. I hope one day that Blizzard actually does have like a stats breakdown in
Yeah.
the game in the client. But until then,
Yeah.
it's really awesome that we have something like Hearthstats out there, and the hard work they do does not go unappreciated.
Yeah, they do that, I believe, every month with StarCraft. They give us their stats broken down for each region, and I would love for them to do that for Hearthstone. But
Yeah, that'd be great.
half of the show
there-
is nothing but us just asking for things. Gimme, gimme, gimme. So I'm just gonna
Yeah.
stop. And
There
move
is
on.
a Hearthstats iOS GitHub here that somebody linked in chat, so that's cool. I guess it's actually coming. Holy crap!
A what?
Awesome.
What are we talking about?
A GitHub. It's like a place for code.
Oh, awesome. Very awesome. Well, cool. Well, again, if you want to look at the stats we were just talking about, you can go to hearthstats.net/June for the June report. We thank Hearthstats again for sending Chris on, and let's move ahead into strategy.
Hit it very hard.
Wanna blow something up? Time to pay!
All right, let's talk a little bit about Kalento Paladin, because this is the first time in a while where what you have wanted to talk about in strategy deals has synced up with what I've been playing the crap out of on ladder.
That's true. Yeah.
I
I linked it in chat just now for anybody who's interested in the deck.
Awesome, very cool. The podcast listeners, as always, there's a link to the deck list in the show notes, and there should be the article's not up yet, live listeners, but it should be up by the time the podcast goes out over on hearthhead.com.
Yeah, I basically had a rough day at work today. Normally, I'm able to find some time to get the article over there and up, but today was not like that. So, but it's written out, it's all ready to go, and it should be up soon. But we just talk about the deck. Let's talk about. Well, so I want to hear your experience playing with this deck. Just tell me about what it feels like when you're playing the deck.
It feels good.
Yeah.
There's always, I feel like there's always a way out. Like I'm always, I'm looking at my hand and I'm like, cool, you know, I've got worst case scenario, I've got a Consecrate and what's the word I'm looking, Wild Pyromancer. So worst case scenario, I can do 3 damage to the whole board. Like if things get really out of hand. This season, I didn't play a lot of ranked last season. I played a lot of arena. So I started off this season at like rank, I don't know, 21, 22 or something, pretty low. I had to climb my way up. I started off with the Shaman deck that I was playing you a lot with at Nerdtacular, and I got up to 15 and I hit a wall.
Sure.
Just couldn't, for whatever reason, was just not getting wins with the Shaman deck anymore. So I was looking for some new decks, and I saw this Kalento Paladin deck, and I picked it up, and I just rocketed straight to 10. And now, since I've hit another wall. So we'll have to...
Well,
that's
this
another
deck,
discussion
I'll
for another
say
day.
this, though. It's definitely got a lot of ways to deal with almost any deck. There's not a lot of decks that you're going to go up against and just say, well, this is just a terrible matchup for me. I don't think I can beat this deck. That said, it's going to take a long time to win each game. So that's kind of what I was asking. Like, how slow are your games? Are you getting to fatigue a lot? Is that all that stuff happening? Because that's been my experience. And when I watched Kalento, that was also his experience as well.
Getting to fatigue with this deck?
Yeah.
I have not had that happen, I don't even think once.
No?
No.
Wow. Okay. Interesting. Because I've had a lot. Maybe you're not playing any control decks then.
I've had...
Every time I play against a control deck, we both end up at fatigue, basically.
Because I've
Or
been,
at least they do. This deck doesn't draw as much. So.
yeah, no. You know, I haven't played against a lot of control decks. Not since I broke out of the 15 rut. When I was in 15, just banging my head against the wall with the shaman. I was going up against a lot of control warriors, and I was having a real hard time beating them.
Yeah.
Since I got out of there, I haven't seen a control warrior since, and that was really the only control deck I was seeing.
Yeah.
I've gone up against a couple shamans. Haven't really had too hard of a time beating them with this deck.
What about handlock? Have you seen any handlock yet?
I saw one handlock today, and I lost pretty abysmally.
Really? Okay.
But it was one of the first times in this deck where I didn't pull any equalities. So it's just like game over.
It's a pretty important card when you're playing against handlock. If you get that, you're good to go. If you don't, then there's really no way to deal with any stuff.
I was mulliganing for my equalities and for my the Eldor Peacekeepers, and I didn't get any of them, and I didn't see them all game, and I just straight up lost.
No, yeah, that's just a bad draw then. So I'll put this out there. So this deck is, for anybody who's not familiar with that we're talking about, it's a control paladin essentially, and it's got a lot of the cards you always saw in control paladin, and of course the cards that are just good paladin cards. So True Silver Champions, Consecrate, Eldor Peacekeeper, Equality. And then it's got, this is kind of going back to the old school, which is the Lay on Hands, Guardian of Kings, and Tyrion Forgery. We kind of hadn't seen, like Tyrion you kind of saw in all Control Paladins, but we kind of hadn't seen the Lay on Hands and all that stuff in a while. People weren't really playing these.
Yeah, only one Lay on Hands, which it was before, and only one Guardian of Kings.
Yeah. Yeah, because you really don't need two. If you have two in your hand, it's going to suck. So you don't want to have more than that.
Yeah, and one Holy Light as well, if we're just talking about healing while we're at it.
Sure. No, it's got the Holy Light as well for more healing. And then you've got basically all the good taunts, right? So you got the Senjin Shield Masters and the Sunwalkers, which is just, that's all you really need, right? So it doesn't, the original version did have a Defender of Argus, but when you're looking around the deck, you realize that most of the time you're going to end up probably playing that on a token, and this is not going to be as effective as just putting out Ascension Shield Master,
dies
right?
to pretty
you
much,
don't need to have a guy on board.
Yeah, and those die to pretty much any board clear in the game if you taunt up a token and make it a 2/2.
Yeah.
I actually, when I started playing this deck, I was playing it with a Defender of Argus, and then today when I was watching Kalento, I noticed that he had dropped it out and put in, I believe, a Black Knight.
A Black Knight was
and this is when I finally broke down. I was like, I'm gonna finally craft a Black Knight. I was sitting on another 1600 dust, and I couldn't decide the legendary I wanted to make. And that reminded me that I didn't have one yet. I was like, I really just need to make this damn Black Knight, because I can't tell you how many decks I've net decked and I've had a Black Knight in, and I've just had to put something else in.
Yeah. Well, the other thing to note about this deck is, and I'll say why the Black Knight is actually good before I mention this point. There's a lot of the ramp druids still out there, and also things just like Zoo. Zoo uses defenders, so you'll end up being able to kill. It'll be a small creature, but maybe it's a defendered Scarlet Crusader that's a 4/2 with a Divine Shield now, and those are insanely hard to deal with. So
yeah, you're not a shaman. You don't have your Earth Shocks.
No,
you don't have an easy way to deal with that.
Earth Shock in a Paladin deck.
Actually, that is the thing I've noticed with this deck, is this deck can handle just about anything relatively well. But Divine Shield really throws a monkey wrench into the whole thing, because it's like quality's pointless.
No, that's the problem with Divine Shield in this deck. I almost considered replacing one Harvest Golem with a Blood Knight just to try to take advantage of all because I see a lot of Divine Shield now. So I thought about that briefly, but it just seems like if I don't see the Divine Shield, there's certain decks I'll play against that won't have it, and this deck doesn't have it.
There's not enough. I feel like there's not enough decks running Divine Shield.
Yeah, so this deck has Divine Shield on Sunwalker and Tyrion, right? But the thing is, you don't really want to sacrifice your Sunwalker Divine Shield.
No, Tyrion and Sunwalker are good because of the Divine Shield.
Exactly. Yeah, like you want to take them off of Scarlet Crusaders and Argent Squires. That's
just like, it's a 1/1. The 3 extra damage on my Blood Knight is worth more than that 1/1's Divine Shield.
Exactly. Yeah, exactly. So those are some of the changes I've considered, but Black Knight makes so much sense as well, because even if you don't get the value off of those, he's still a 4/5, and I don't know if you've noticed with this deck, but a lot of times you always get to late game, and then there's a lot of situations in late game where mana's not really the concern anymore. So playing the Black Knight is just a 6 mana cost Yeti is actually fine if you know you're not going to get any value off of it.
I had to throw him down the day on a blank board.
Yeah, and it doesn't really hurt this deck very much. There's a lot of turns I noticed with this deck where I utilized 7 mana out of the 10 rather than the entire thing, and it was fine.
Yet for some reason, I find I can never. I'm never in a position where playing Lay on Hands felt good. Like just that 8 mana, man. It's just like, I guess I can do this and poop out a 1/1.
Yeah, the Lay on Hands, you really got to wait until a time when you aren't going to lose a huge amount of tempo playing it, because what it really is just refueling you, right?
Yeah.
There's not a lot of card draw in this deck. You really have your Acolyte of Pain, you have your single Hammer of Wrath, you have your 2 Azure Drakes, and then you have Lay on Hands, and that's pretty much it. So you really need to find a good spot to play it, because that's going to be your last time probably drawing cards for the rest of the game. However, with this deck, most of the time, turn 2 is just a 1/1. So you end up having a fairly big starting hand at around turn 4 when you really start to do stuff. So your hand is already kind of big at that point.
Right.
It's tough to run out of cards. Plus, you get so much value out of all the cards in this deck, and you can just keep popping out the 1/1s. So I play 1 card and a 1/1 almost every turn, it feels like, and just continuously get a lot of value with all of your cards. So it's a very slow deck, though. The way that you kill people is, unless you can get your Tyrion to die and give you that 5/3 weapon, the way you kill people is basically paper cutting them to death.
Yep.
With 3 damage here, 4 damage here, 1 damage here with your little 1/1s.
I get so depressed in this game when Tyrion gets silenced. I'm just like, oh, there went, because in my head I'm just like, oh, they're down to 15. I got this in the bag if they kill my Tyrion. And then they silence it. I'm just like, oh man, now I have to think.
Yeah, it's at that point, that's when the games start to go to fatigue, is if you can't get your Tyrion to stick for a turn and you don't get that weapon. It's just it's a tough deck to find. You don't have that big bursty combo like you do with all the other decks. There's no Leroy Blessing of Might Faceless Manipulator thing in here. It just doesn't exist in this deck.
Yeah, but it feels, I don't know, it feels real consistent, though. I like it. I don't like searching for a combo. I don't like that feeling of, well, I don't have my combo, so I don't have a way to end this game. This deck, I feel like...
Not only that, but if you have the combo too early, that could be detrimental as well.
That too.
This deck never has that problem.
You're right. This deck, I feel like I'm just slowly working towards just the game. Eventually, I will just win.
Yeah.
And there's, like, games constantly play out different. It's not like... it's not like my shaman deck where it's kind of all the same. It's like, all right, like lightning bolt on this turn, then I throw down my unbound, then I wolves, and then eventually I get out my Alakir with a Doomhammer and game's over.
It's very true. The starting hand is not obvious in this deck either, because like I said, most of the time you don't do anything on turn 2, and oftentimes not on turn 3 either. Sometimes the first card I actually play is a Shield Master, and that's not usual for a lot of these decks. But you don't really care about falling behind with this deck, because having your health total down to 15 doesn't really mean you're close to death. It just means now I can actually use my Guardian of Kings and get full value, and I'll just heal back up, no problem.
Yep.
So there's a lot of combos in this deck as well that are not meant to do anything but control the board. So Pyromancer, Humility, Holy Light, all of these spells that actually trigger the Pyromancer. So you can use those. You can also, of course, do the Humility or Peacekeeper plus Stampeding Kodo to kill just about anything. And then, of course, there's a quality Pyromancer. The other way. Don't do it that way. Pyromancer equality. Or a quality Elven Archer, and you just pick things off. Or quality Knife Juggalos, and you just kill all the stuff. So there's just so many different ways to clear the board that you can take your time killing the opponent. You can chip away at their health total, and you will eventually get there. Yeah. So if you're into a deck like that, if that sounds like something that's fun, you should definitely check this deck out. It's just basically a new take on the old Control Pally with more taunts and more stall.
Yep. Yeah, we have one person I think tweeted us that when they heard we were talking about this deck, specifically wanted us to talk about the mulligan phase against a Zoodlock.
Oh,
and
okay.
Since I started playing this deck, I haven't lost the game to Zoodlock.
Yeah, Zoodlock, if you can get that one big board clear, because they always overcommit, and that's just the style of Zoo, is
and like
all the stuff out.
Like you said, a lot of times you're not even concerned about playing a card from this deck until turn 4, or if you have a coin turn 3. So I'm mulliganing for any of my. I'm obviously Consecrate is the thing I want. So I'm trying to mulligan for Consecrate. But I'm also very happy with a true silver champion, or even my what's the spell?
Oh, the Hammer of Wrath.
Hammer of Wrath. My one Hammer of Wrath.
Hammer of Wrath will remove a lot of different things that are in the Zulok. So yeah, you want those. You also want Wild Pyromancers are really good against Zulok. Because you can get that spell off and get all the stuff out, and then the Shield Master is going to be great too. So I would say the cards you're looking for are the ones we've already mentioned, plus like Harvest Golems, Senjin Shield Masters, all that kind of stuff. So as long as you can play, the beauty of the Harvest Golem is it generally 2-for-1s, especially against the Zulok where they have to run their creatures into it. So you're just going to get value out of these cards early on, and then like we said, you're going to catch up at the end. You're going to put down the Sunwalker, and he's going to have to run 3 different creatures into it before it dies. So.
Yeah, I had a couple Zulok games where they like got me down to 8, but they like completely, they had nothing left in their hand, and I came back and just destroyed them, and it was like no contest. Yeah. But I've yet to lose a game against a Zulok with this deck.
No, I can see that. There's another interesting thing to note about this deck, which I'm starting to see a lot of with control decks, is there's no big game hunter targets in this deck. So you cannot can't lose because someone big game hunted your Ragnaros and then or facelessed it, then big game hunted it. It's just not going to happen. So you are safe from that.
Yeah, and there's a lot of 4 health minions too. This is kind of a priest nightmare as well.
Yeah, although the 4 health thing, I'm noticing more and more like that it's not as big of a deal anymore because priests aren't running Shadow Word Pains anymore. They're only running the Shadow Word Deaths. So
right, but so the only thing that's really at risk in this deck is your Tyrion, and if he dies, you get an awesome weapon. So Guardian of Kings also.
Tyrion, Guardian of Kings. That's
so
pretty much
2 cards that are susceptible to Shadow Word Death.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and the Shadow Word Pain, the reason why priests aren't running it is valid. It's very valid. It's only ever going to be a 1-for-1 on a creature that you probably could have 1-for-1'd anyway, right?
Yeah.
So with the Shadow Word Death, it's a 1-for-1 on a creature that might have been a 2-for-1 in another situation. Yep. So that's really the reason for that. And
there's some scary things that just need to die.
Yeah, there's better spots for maybe Wild Pyromancers will take up that slot that once was Shadow Word Pains. So anyway, so if you want to see Kalento play this deck, check out his VODs. I think, let me see, I can probably grab the VOD of him doing it like 8 days ago or something like that and pop it into the show notes.
He was playing it today when I was watching him. He switched over to Miracle Rogue at one point, but he was playing it just this afternoon.
Oh, cool. All right, I'll see if I can find the one where he played it to rank 1 though, because that's the one you want to watch.
Oh, cool. Yeah, no, he was 70 plus rank legend today on the North American server.
Yeah. All right. So yeah, I'll find that right now. But enjoy this deck. It's a good one. It's a fun one.
Yeah. Awesome. Well, enjoy that. Let's get into some crazy game stories.
Is the whole world gone crazy?
You're in trouble now.
You got it!
I have just a quick one before we get into our listener submitted one.
Okay.
I killed a Miracle Rogue's Leroy today with my Knife Juggler on his turn, and it made me really happy. It made me so happy because just previously I had lost miserably to a Miracle Rogue, and was very, very angry about it. And then when this happened, when I was down to like 2 health, I'm just like, oh, you son of a bee. And then it happens, and Knife 1, I'm like, oh wait, no way. Knife 2, yes, and I won. I was so happy.
That is sweet redemption. Yeah, once they lose that Leroy, but they don't have any more damage. They can't get to you.
Yep. Oh man, it was beautiful. It was great.
Nice. I still haven't had that happen to me, but I've now seen it happen a couple times.
Yep.
The first time I saw it happen was Kungan was like basically he was streaming. He got super excited that he was about to kill the guy with his Leroy, and just didn't even think about it.
Yep.
Threw it out there, and Leroy died.
Bing, bing, goodbye.
Yeah. Yep.
Yeah. Oh, jeez. Scary stuff. Anyway, our listener submitted story this week came to us from Jean Sebastian, who actually I had to dramatically edit this email for time. It was like a book.
A lot of times you guys send us a lot of details on these.
Guys, if you can keep it under if you can keep it to 1 or 2 paragraphs, you're much more likely to get it on the show. Just putting it out there. Preferably one. If you get one, I'm going to open it up. I'm going to read the whole thing. I'll decide right then and there. If I open it up and see a book, I'm just going to be like, maybe. But his opening lines got me. He had a good story. The guy has been through hell and back, it sounds like, so I wanted to make sure to put it in here because he had surgery on his left eye last November for a torn retina.
Oh.
And apparently this kept him away from the computer and in a lot of unbearable pain for months. But he said that our show helped him out a lot during that time.
Oh, that's great. I'm glad we were able to do something for him.
Yeah, so he said tomorrow, and this was sent last Thursday, so Friday, I'm going through surgery again. Same thing, other eye, even though I got laser surgery in January 2014 to prevent my retina to go all crazy in my other eye. It's peeling anyway. Ooh, peeling retina. He said, so it's going to be another pain train for the next 2 months. I know you guys will keep me from going insane once again, and I want to thank you so much for doing so. Anyway, he sent in this crazy game story. He said he was playing mid-range shaman versus an RDU-style freeze mage. He said, I lost 2 unbound elementals and wasted a lightning bolt due to a misplay against a doomsayer. Oh, that sucks. The freeze mage started BMing him by spamming thank you over and over again, to which John said, fine then, we're going full BM mode. And RDU, he said, RDU mage is a slowish deck, so from this point, I'm going to take all 90 seconds on my turn every turn.
Wow.
He said a solid mid-game happened with multiple large shaman minions eating a lot of the mage's damage spells. My rag landed 16 damage to my opponent's face before being taken out by a fireball and another minion. Then we get to the end game. My opponent is down to 8 HP. All of his minions, big and small, are dead, except for Alexstrasza, and he has a Pyroblast left. But he has 2 mirror images, 2 secrets down, Ice Block and Ice Barrier. He's playing the exact list from the DreamHack RDU Mage, and it's not Counterspell because he tried to trigger it before. Jean says, I have a Fire Elemental, Hex, and Bloodlust. Shattered Sun Cleric in my hand. He played Alexstrasza, putting me down to 15 HP. He ended his turn. I hexed Alexstrasza, put the Cleric down. I get my 3rd totem up and pass. So I'm counting my Bloodlust damage at this point while he's playing to see if I can do 16 damage, 8 HP plus HP from the secret. But he clears everything with another Doomsayer that I forgot about. You need to remember about these Doomsayers, dude.
Yeah, that's their big board clear.
Plus a Frost Nova. I'm now screwed, and my only hope to win is now Fatigue. There is no way I can go through 8 HP, Ice Block, and Ice Barrier, and 3 taunts, Mirror plus Frog, with what I have left in my hand and in my deck. He is on 8 HP. I totem up and pass. So he counts it down from health points. Opponent at 8 health points. He pyros my face. I'm now down to 5. He ends turn. I'm at 5. I totem up and pass. He's still at 8. He does something irrelevant. I think he ice lance my face for 0 and played Vaporize, pinged me to 4 in his hand. I know he has Ice Block, and I think he has a Blizzard left also. I'm now at 4. I totem up and pass. I did draw Lightning Storm that turn. Mage is still at 8. He takes 1 fatigue down to 7, pings me for 3. Or pings me to 3. I'm at 3. I totem up and pass. He's at 7, takes 2 damage from fatigue down to 5, pings me to 2. I'm at 2. I take 1 fatigue. I'm down to a single XP. So now I'm down to 1. He's now at 5. I play Fire Elemental and do 3 damage to his face. He's down to 2 HP. When my turn ends after the fuse, since secrets don't activate on your turn anymore, Ice Block fails to activate. He takes 3 damage from fatigue and dies. GG!
Yep. So this happened to me, and it was on stream, and I sat there going, wait, what? I can't die. I have Ice Block. And that's when I realized what was going on.
I remember that story on this very show.
Yeah.
I remember you mentioning that. Yeah. So
that's right.
He said, in conclusion, be nice, don't BM, or you just might end up playing a 42-minute game and lose just because you are being a smartass. Sometimes the best play is to do nothing.
It's actually true. You don't know when you're going to BM somebody and piss them off and make your life suck for a moment. So I'm never the initial BMer. I'm always the second BMer. Somebody BMs me, I definitely give it back to them. So.
Oh, yeah. If you say I'm sorry for, something, when I beat you at the end, I'm saying I'm sorry before I deal lethal. It's going to happen.
Yeah, exactly.
I will be a jerk back. I try my damnedest to be nice in Hearthstone.
Yeah. But you got to do a little sorry and thank you before you kill them if they do it to you.
Yeah. I love though when I get into a good game just against someone else and there's like a bad beat, like I have an awesome play and he just has the slightly better play that irks out the win. I will give him a genuine well played. You exchange it and you both feel good. Like, you know what, I lost, but that was a crazy game. Good job, sir.
Yeah.
Good job.
It's funny. There's not hard and fast rules to the proper ways to use the emotes. I've seen people say that it's BM to say well played before you kill people. But I don't agree. I think that's fine.
Yeah, that's the thing. I'm not sure that's necessarily a bad thing. Like,
no, I think if you had a good game and it just turns out I now have lethal, I say well played and I do my lethal.
Yeah.
I have seen the well played and then sit there and wait for the other person to
see. That's a jerk move. Yeah, but if you say well played and you immediately end the game, I don't think there's anything bad about that.
No,
I think
I don't think so either.
I think it's pretty good manners, but it's different because in like a game like StarCraft, the opponent who loses is supposed to say GG first, but. Like preemptive GG is considered real bad form, but whatever. Anyways, let's take a couple emails before we end the show.
Hello?
Hello, it's me.
Hello.
Just quickly, do you get my message?
Yep.
Oh.
Hello, brother.
Catch the chicken. Catch it. Emails, you can send them to tacpodcast@gmail.com. That's also where we get our crazy game stories, of which there are so many piling up. Ken writes in this week and says, "Hey, TAC, thanks a lot for the awesome podcast. Without a doubt, the best podcast or Hearthstone podcast available, and in my opinion, one of the best podcasts around. Thank you." But that's the end of his email. He just wanted to compliment us, and I wanted to put it in the show.
Thanks, Ken. Moving on.
He continues. He said, "I've been wondering whether something akin to Magic sets might be an interesting addition to the game. Imagine a new game mode akin to Ranked now, but with a rotating card pool for, say, every 2 or 3 seasons. It wouldn't really be feasible until we have a proper expansion. Adventures don't really offer enough cards, but it would help emphasize the deck building skill, which has taken a bit of a back seat in the very well-established meta we currently have. Each set would be different. Maybe one has a Yeti, another doesn't, etc. Obvious complications would be rewards, participation, seeing as the card pool is restricted, Blizzard having to create sets. Still, I feel it could make for a unique experience somewhere in between Ranked and Arena, with the player having to evaluate a set and build something that could work with those particular cards in that meta. Is this something you would want? Keep up the amazing work, Ken."
Yeah.
To a point,
Sure.
yeah. This kind of goes with what we were saying earlier, how, with the new, M15 coming out this Friday, the pre-release this past weekend, but, properly releases this Friday, just getting a little jealous. Like, man, I would love, like, a brand new 300-plus cards in Hearthstone, and for the current 300 to kind of just be, quote-unquote, retired, unless you're playing some kind of format where any card that's ever been printed is legal.
Yeah. I think there's other ways to emphasize deck building as well. Say a kind of arena tournament style thing where instead of just randomly playing arena, you do the thing where you draft cards. You see a full set of cards, and then each person drafts one and actually can build a deck.
That's what I was going to say, man. I would love to see a proper draft mode where I don't care if I have to set aside 3 to 4 hours. That's fine. Let me make that decision. Keep arena in as the kind of the more casual limited format, much like it's really arena to me feels way more like sealed in Magic than draft. Yeah,
it's different because you're not necessarily deck building. You're just making proper decisions based on the 3 choices in front of you, regardless. And that's why the better arena players don't really build combos into their arena decks. They just take the most solid card and the most on-curve card, and that's what dictates whether the deck is good or not.
Yeah.
But if you could really build a constructed style deck, but out of a drafted format, that could be pretty fun, and that would definitely emphasize deck building skills.
And it wouldn't be crazy different from Arena, since a pack of Hearthstone cards is only 5 cards.
You'd probably have to do some sort of increased card pool.
Maybe.
But,
I mean, I think you could even do it like that. You just have to do a bunch of packs.
Yeah, you just have to do a lot of packs. Exactly. Yeah.
But I would love that. You crack the pack, you pick one, and you digitally pass it to the right or whatever.
Yeah.
And then the guy goes through and picks it, and it just goes around until everyone. And I would love it if you got more than 30 cards and you could sideboard and stuff like that. I would love something like that.
Yeah,
some kind of extra level of intricacy to it would be wonderful.
Yeah. We'll see. I mean, there's plenty of room in this game to add and remove features and all that stuff. So it's not out of the question that at some point later on we're going to see a ton of different ways to play this game. I mean, this game is very early on in its existence. So
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, last week we were talking, with all the death rattles we were talking about, is Mass Dispel going to be a good or a bad card? That would be so great if there's a proper draft mode where I could have Mass Dispel sitting in my sideboard just in case the best of three I'm about to play, the guy comes in with a bunch of death rattles. Like, all right, I lost game 1, but game 2, I'm going to sideboard in my Mass Dispel. And
yeah,
I don't know. That I get so excited thinking about that as a possibility.
Yeah, it'd be very cool. Yeah. Sinonxia says 8-player tournament mode. I would love just a tournament mode period where you could choose the amount of players you want, and basically the game runs your
128 person tournament.
Well, but imagine going to a big time tournament, and that's how they do it. Is they just create the tournament, and then everybody who is in the tournament registers for that tournament, and then the game runs your damn tournament for you, and you say double elimination or round robin or whatever you want to do. And
yeah, with ever since Blizzard went all BattleNet all the time, always got to be connected. I would love to see some of this stuff that would really be a huge benefit of that form of that requirement.
It basically allows the scene to thrive without you take some of the work away and allow the scene to just start to happen, Yeah. Because right now, and me and you know this especially after doing the Angry Chicken Invitational, just to do any kind of tournament takes a lot of work. And it's anybody who is putting them on, I commend very much because I know how much it takes and it's not easy. When we did that little tournament here in San Francisco, there's a lot of work that went into that. And it's just, and then of course the first comments on Twitch chat are just some dude being an asshat, but this tournament's stupid. Well, okay.
You go create something.
You didn't contribute anything to the world, buddy. And we tried very hard to do something.
Actually, I thought
very hard.
I thought the production was pretty damn slick for that, by the way.
Exactly. That's what I thought too.
I was looking at damn, they did a good job. Damn good job.
They did.
Everybody
who worked on that did a great job.
You know what? We're going to do another Angry Chicken Invitational one. I can just fly out there and do it there because that seems like it's actually less of a headache than trying to edit it in post.
Let other people make the stuff.
And doing it all live in the same room is way more fun and more exciting anyway. So
it really is, yeah. Although I will say this, casting for 8 hours is not easy, man.
No,
my God.
It's not. Well, we did the Invitational in one round, and that took almost 8 hours. So I remember, we'll do it on a Sunday afternoon. It won't take that long. We only have 4 rounds. And I come out way past dinner time. Oh my God, I need food.
Yeah, it's tough. But it's just something that Blizzard, if they could implement a couple of things like that, people in the chat room are giving a great example. Online poker is just a collection of, you go in there, you do a sit and go tournament, and you enter, the tournament through the lobby. But then you could also have a private tournament where I invite specific players and whatnot. So there's just a lot of cool stuff that can happen. Yeah. I hope we see all of it.
Yeah, me too. Look, it's exciting. You want to? Thanks for your email, Ken. That is actually
good email.
Really on point with stuff we were always already talking about, and I wasn't expecting to talk about this episode. So cool.
Yeah.
You want to take the next email, Bill?
Sure. This is from the Jen. Hey, what up, the Jen? By the way, she hangs out in my stream quite often. I like the Jen. Mirror matches. I seem to do great with a deck, but everything falls apart when I come up against the same deck that I am playing. This seems to be happening most when I play Zulok. Any suggestion on how to win mirror matches? Love the show. The Jen. Well, it depends on which mirror match you're talking about, obviously. The Zoo one is basically going to be who effectively clears and is able to keep their creatures on board more often than the other guy. It's a very draw dependent thing when you get the mirror match.
I feel like another big point of Zulok versus Zulok is who gets to play their Doomguard without discarding cards.
Oh yeah.
That is such a huge part of Zulok mirror matchup. I've noticed anyway.
If you can empty your hand, if you have the Doomguard in hand and it's turn 5 and you say you have 2 other cards, I try not to just play the Doomguard. Sometimes you have to, but a preferable play is to play both of those cards out, and then maybe on the next turn tap and then play both of those cards out, and then the next turn maybe you have a 2-drop and the Doomguard. So on turn 7, that's the perfect thing.
Yep.
It's a 2-drop and a Doomguard. And you play both of them, and you don't do any discarding. The other thing too is who gets the Soulfire first, because it's such a big tempo swing back. You kill something and you still can play as many creatures as your mana allows.
Yep.
So that's also a really big swing too. But anytime you're going to go into any mirror match, it really is, if you're doing the The handlock versus handlock. Who gets their giants out and the other guy doesn't have Siphon Soul, you know?
I love watching handlock versus handlock.
Yeah.
I find it so interesting because they're both such like there's some of the most I feel intricate decks that exist in Hearthstone at the moment.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't know why. It's kind of like watching Terran versus Terran in StarCraft.
Well, it's haymakers back and forth too, because once you do get creatures out, they're huge and they're hard to get rid of. And yeah, it's an interesting one. I really like to see, you know, like Miracle Rogue versus Miracle Rogue is not interesting, right?
No.
Because it's just who gets a concealed auctioneer.
Yeah.
And then that guy wins. But there's a lot of really cool. I think Zoo is actually a really cool matchup to watch back and forth because there is so much clearing going on back and forth. There's a lot of interactivity between the boards. So, yeah, it's just one of those things, Jen. You're gonna have to just play a lot of that deck, and then at some point you know the deck really well, so you can predict the correct move for the other player, and try to not walk into obvious traps and obvious bad situations, and try to take advantage of your own deck knowledge. That's the other issue, though, that might be making it tough, is that they also have knowledge of your deck. So
yep.
It's tough when the other guy knows exactly what you're going to be playing.
Although I would say nowadays, with how established the meta is, it's a good chance they know your deck anyway.
I know, yeah.
Within the first couple of cards
I know
you play.
what's going to happen. Yeah.
Which
is why we need an axe.
I was so surprised to see a handlock today. I haven't seen a handlock in probably 3 weeks, and I went up against one today.
Wow.
Every time I see a warlock now, I just immediately assume Zoolock, and I start mulliganing for consecrates and True Silver Champions, and sure enough, turn 1, nothing. Turn 2, life tap. I'm like, really?
Yeah.
And then out comes the Ancient Watcher. I'm like, no way! I haven't seen a freaking handlock in forever. And this is the game that I lost horrendously because I never drew any quality. But alas.
It's a little scary when the handlock comes out, though. If you know that even if you almost kill them, you better actually kill them, or double Molten Giant and Taunted. Although, if you're playing the Kalento Pally, Equality Consecrate. Goodbye.
Yep, I would have been fine, but didn't get it. Yeah, anyways, I think that'll do it for tonight's episode. As always, I want to thank you guys who are backing us over at patreon.com/TAC. As we said at the top of the show, you patrons are just awesome. Thank you so much for helping us hit our first milestone. And again, stay tuned to the Patreon to see the plans and how to call in for our first TAC Google Hangout. This week, I wanted to thank the following patrons: Inked Geek Studios, Eric C., Eric P., Tyler E., and Ben H. Thank you guys very much for supporting the Angry Chicken. We can't thank you enough. And also, those of you who are leaving us reviews in the iTunes store, leaving reviews on however you happen to get the show, helps us out a lot. We just happen to get a large chunk of our listeners through iTunes, so we always try and thank you guys every week. This week I wanted to thank Freyer, M. Harris, 717, Stephen Jin, R.K9, who said there's a 50-50 chance you'll like this podcast, and Recurring V's. Thank you guys very much for your reviews in the iTunes store. As always, The Angry Chicken is a production of amove.tv and frogpants.com. Our email is tacpodcast@gmail.com. The forums can be found at forum.amove.tv. We record the show live every Monday night, except next Monday because I will be out of town. But usually we do at 10 p.m. Eastern Time on twitch.tv/amovetv, or you can tune into the mobile live stream over at alphageekradio.com. Our Twitter is at TAC Podcast. I can be found at Garrett Art. Dills is at Wooly Dills, and the absent Jocelyn is at GIS Gamer. Big thanks once again to Brian Griffith, the musician who made our intro music. His website is briangriffithmusic.com, and go help that man with his laptop. That sucks. And please check out my personal site, nomoonart.com. That's my graphic design portfolio. Just take a look. Dills, where can people find you?
Well, before I tell people where they can find me, I want to, in honor of Germany's World Cup victory, I'm going to look at some German 5-star reviews for Angry Chicken. There are 3 of them. There's no bad reviews, period. All of them. There's 5 total people have done it, but they are all 5 stars. So thank you, Germany. We got one that says, Guter Hearthstone Podcast. Another one says, informative, Wiztig, and extrem gut gemacht. I don't even know what that means. And Widziger Podcast. Got it. They're all in German. I don't know what any of them are saying. So That's what I'll just leave you with that. So thanks, Mac Immer 0816 user and Base T90. All right. You can find me every Friday on the Instance with Scott Johnson and the Terpster. You can also find me on Thursdays with Garrett and Kyle on Into the Nexus, podcast about Heroes of the Storm. Torturecast, podcast about the Giants, who are still sucking pretty badly, but are maybe turning it around. I don't know. And then, of course, the MGA, the Mediocre Golf Association, MGAtour.com. New video will be coming out pretty soon. It's called Two Golfers, One Cart. And I saw the rough cut of it. And
I'm not sure I want to see the rough cut. I don't think I want to see the finish cut.
No, you'll like it. It's good. Trust me. There will not be videos of people reacting to this video. That's not going to happen. It's not that kind of video. But yeah, so check that out if you're a mediocre golfer or even a crappy golfer. Good golfers need not apply, but go check out mjtour.com and check us out. It's good stuff.
Oh, that's great. And also starting next week, Dills reads things in German. That'll be a new show starting up.
That's my new podcast starting up. Yep.
And I think it's going to be a real hit, man. I believe in it.
Well, it's going to get 5-star reviews in Germany at least. That we can say.
Anyways, please check out our sponsors, doghousesystems.com, and say hi to Kim Price while you're there because I got to meet her at Nerdtacular, and she was just delightful. Our code to use is TAC, and that'll get you double memory on your next Doghouse Systems gaming rig. Check out the Angry Chicken Special Edition while you're over there, or just get any of the regular rigs. Use that code. It'll support us. You get double memory for free, and they know you sent us, or we sent you. Yeah, words. They're hard. Say them correctly, folks. We will see you in 2 weeks' time for the next Angry Chicken, because I'll be out of town. Until then, job's done.
Job's done. Job's done. Yes!